Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program The Journey Begins Part 24. We are rapidly closing in on Duna, our destination. You can just about see it here, just above and slightly behind the habitation module, and it is not too long before we are within Duna's sphere of influence and we can start performing those science experiments, getting all that science to take back to Kerbin, and once we've done that, we pop Bob out to just reset all our experiments, our erstwhile science officer there, just doing his job magnificently, and then it's time to make our way towards Duna and towards our orbital insertion burn. Now, this one took a while, it took 8 minutes in total, an improvement on the 10 minutes our departure from Kerbin took, but yeah, we use up a lot of fuel during this. Slightly worried about the fuel situation. We probably should have factored in some atmospheric braking at some point, but I'm sure everything will be fine. Anyway, once we're close into Duna, we once again perform more science experiments, before once again we send Bob out to reset what needs resetting. And with all that done and dusted, here we are, just in orbit around Duna, serenely gliding above its surface, and now we can begin the next, the more important, in fact the vital part of our mission. So the hour is very nearly upon us. I have flipped a coin and Valentina will be leading the troops into battle for this one. We get our lander detached, we activate all the fuel tanks, we turn on all the engines, and it is time to start manoeuvring. I begin by putting us just inside the atmosphere of Duna. We've got a lot of science to do, both in the atmosphere and on the ground, and we've only got one materials base, so I decide to roll as much into one pass as I can, and then we get Bob out once again to reset everything that needs resetting. From there, with a newfound sense of urgency with regards to fuel efficiency, I decide to do a series of aerobraking manoeuvres just to save as much fuel as possible. We do many passes to do this, and before we're at a height where we can just set our orbit, just fire up those engines, just to give us a gentle nudge into a correct orbit. I put us just above the 60,000 mark. It's 10,000 above the atmosphere, but it does give us an extra notch on the time acceleration, which is handy, and there we are. So now I suppose it's time. Right then, here we are. Literally the big one. Well, I suppose Jules actually... Well, let's not get started with that. Where are we? We are right about where I want to start burning, so I am going to do that. Gently does it. Just take us down to 35,000 is my target. A little bit longer. There we go, that's pretty good. So now I suppose we better get these solar panels put away, because we don't want to be re-entering into a planet's atmosphere with those deployed. It doesn't tend to go well. Let's just start time accelerating forward. Oh, we didn't get very far there. Yeah, you can only go up to 10 times within 60... I might have already mentioned this in the post-commentary. But yeah, so... here we go. Here goes nothing. You might think it's a bit odd that I sort of started to deorbit that far round, but trust me, if this all goes as planned, then we should land somewhere round about here, maybe a little past it. We'll have to see. But fingers crossed. How are we doing? 53,000. Re-entry in about a minute or 6 seconds because we're at 10 times. So one of the things I'm going to do fairly early on is open this up, because we've already taken the science from space high above, in flight high above Duna, so we want to do in flight low above Duna, low into the atmosphere, so we might not have time to sort of faff around trying to find things in here as we're doing it, so what I'm going to do is bring up some of these, lock these windows here, so that when we get to the right altitude, I just have to click. These will stay here, and I just have to click on the relevant things to take the experiment readings. It's a neat little feature that Squad implemented ages ago, and I've never ever had to use it up until now, but yeah, really handy. So is that everything? These don't seem to... The gravioli detectors don't seem to want to work inside the atmosphere when you're not landed, and we have the seismometer, but we're not going to be using that until we're landed. I'm just going to close that. And I think we are all set. I'll have to remember to take the... to do a crew report as well. I don't think we'll bother risking an EVA report as we're careening towards the surface. So here we go. Our apoapsis is dropping. Our speed is still increasing. I'm just going to start us time accelerating a bit, because we don't want to be stuck here all day. I suppose at this point during any KSP series it's kind of obligatory to mention The Martian, because that was a great film. And also showed you don't actually have to... You can actually make something that's scientifically accurate, or reasonably scientifically accurate, and still have a blockbuster. You don't have to just make stuff up. The Martian, of course... well, the story is based around sort of actual plans that NASA have for going to Mars, because it was in the 90s, I think it was, NASA drew up a sort of a feasibility study to see if going to Mars was kind of a reasonable prospect. And the results of the study were, yes, we currently have the technology to be able to get astronauts to Mars in reasonably good shape, land them and get them back again. But the problem then is the same as the problems now. It's just a matter of, it's not so much having the technology, it's having the money and having the political will with the safety margins as they are. How are we doing? We are 37,000. Looking good. Where's the sun? So yeah, we're going to land a little past where I'd hoped we would, but still going to be well into the daylight, which is good. The other thing about getting to Mars, of course, is sort of like things like the astronauts' psychological welfare, because we don't know what that's going to be for what's probably going to be a pretty long journey. And things like food, how are we going to get sort of decent food for them to keep for however many months or years it's going to be. Yeah, our periapsis is dropping very quickly now. It's dropping faster than we are, so we are definitely going to be landing this one way or the other. Apoapsis, yeah, within the atmosphere. Time to periapsis, just under 14 minutes. Our speed's starting to drop now, so that's a good sign. Still time accelerating, still flying high. Just going to wait for that to drop to a flying low, and then we'll try and cram in as much science as possible. What I could do actually is pin that and put that over there, so we're ready to get the crew report from that. Oh, you did not like that. That was a bit of unexpected wobbling. Speed's dropping. Oh, nuts. Yeah, it's extra. It's kind of extra sensitive when you're sort of doing it at 4 times time acceleration, sort of in game. But I think we're okay there. Parachutes have gone red, so we're starting with 2 drogue chutes to slow us down. Then we've got the 4 main chutes. That should slow us down to something that it shouldn't be a disaster if we land at that speed, but preferably we will want to fire up the main engine just to slow us down a little bit. I'm going to take us out of 4 times time acceleration, because our vertical speed is picking up quite a lot. Still flying high. I'm not entirely sure where the boundary is in the Martian atmosphere. Well, not the Martian atmosphere, the Duna atmosphere. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. That's 13,000. I'm going to predict maybe 12,000. 4, 3, 2, 1. Flying low. Crew report. Keep. We can fire our... So those will deploy once with below a certain altitude. So we've got our crew report. Observe materials bay, observe mystery goo, log pressure data, log temperature, keep. There go our drogue chutes. So those should deploy any second now. There we go. And they'll slow us down quite a lot. And then we can deploy the main chutes. But again, they'll just stay as they are until we get below a specified altitude. I'm not sure what the altitude is. Our electric charge is dropping. We're down to about halfway. Have to keep an eye on that. Might have to deploy the old solar panels once we're on the ground. We can see our shadow. I assume that's our shadow. On the ground there. They go our main chutes. They deploy. There we go. Let's drop those landing legs. And we are just about ready. The altitude above the terrain, 1,300 meters. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited about this. This is going slowly. In two minds, do I go to time acceleration just to cut a lot of this out, or do I just play it safe and just keep going normal speed? I think we'll stick with things as they are at the moment. What's our vertical speed? About 16 meters per second, a little under that. So about 40 seconds till... No, less than that. Here we go. As I said, I'm going to fire up the main thrusters. My biggest worry was not landing on a piece of flat ground. But I think it's looking pretty flat, so we're not going to tip over or do anything stupid. So it's a lot better than it could have been. I am going to start getting rid of these, actually, as we're coming down. And we can start firing up those thrusters just to start slowing us down. Here we go, then. "100 meters. Try and slow us right down to about 5 meters per second before we touch the ground. There we go. Oh. And touchdown! Oh! Keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. Yes! And we have landed. Oh. Right, let's get going. Cancel. We'll sort another crew report in a second. But here comes the big moment. Valentina, who we decided on earlier, is leading our mission down to the our first mission down to the Red Planet, will have the honours. Here she goes, down the permanent ladder, down onto the extendable ladder. Here we go. There we are. That's one small step for a Kerbal. Several lost subscribers for making the same reference 3 times in one series. So let's get doing what we need to do. Let's take our surface sample. 240 science. Wow. Okay, yeah, I'd forgotten how much you get from this. EVA report. Everywhere you look, you see red. It is very red. I do like the shaders they've put on sort of the atmosphere here. It's sort of very, very nice, sort of very much like Mars would be, just sort of this deep brown from sort of dust in the atmosphere. Well, light brown, I should say. Yes, so we've done everything. I think we only need now to plant the flag. And where are we? I'm going to do my normal naming convention and just put it as the Duna Lowlands so we can use it as a marker. And I can't think of anything else at the moment, so we're just going to write woohoo. And with that, I think that is... that will draw today's episode to a close. I've got lots of fiddling about to do with all the science bits in there and the crew report and all that stuff, so I will do that after this episode. But yeah, we have done it. Our main goal for this series, we have landed on Duna. And what a glorious and, if somewhat homogeneous site it is. So we'll be picking this up next time. Of course, we've got all that stuff to do. We've got to get this craft back up to the mothership, and then decide if we're going to come down and do another mission, because that fuel situation is looking a little tricky. But I'm sure we'll be fine. So until then, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.